Charlie in the Great Glass Elevator, Runaway Ralph, On the Far Side of the Mountain, My Teacher Fried My Brains, Rescue of the Unicorn. Our fifth chapter is all about second installments to books of reliterated episodes past, which sequels were worthy successors, and which were just there to be the next book. We'll discuss this and much more on Reliterated, Reiterated, Chapter 5. Let's talk. Welcome to Reliterated, Reiterated, the episode where your favorite lowbrow book club discusses the books we read in the past few episodes, cover what we missed, and discuss this latest chapter as a whole, as well as talk about whatever we want. As usual, we give you the fair warning. We use language too mature for kids, analysis too immature for literary scholars, and ignorance too profound to be inoffensive to everyone. And this week we are having a round table discussion, virtually, of course, with everybody in different places. I'm Andy.
I'm Harold.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Janelle.
What the shit?
Oh,
hey, who let you in here? What the fuck? This week we brought back a friend of the show, Janelle, and officially our hype girl. We have given her that official title for the show because she's been making some moves, wheeling and dealing. And do we want to make that announcement now or?
Man, I think the opener is fine.
Yeah,
realistically, yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to handle the big reveal? Maybe you, Janelle, because you're the hype girl that made this happen.
Yeah,
yeah.
Should I tell the whole story of how I did it?
Not the whole story. You don't want to start in August 2017.
You know what?
Okay.
Fuck you, Harold. Not every story starts there. I don't do Bob's Your Uncle summary.
So
we know this.
I think we've mentioned before that we're been working to make Janelle the social media guru to Andy's behest. And I've been really pushing for it, and she has proven herself with this one to me.
Yeah, so I took some screenshots of conversations to Twitter, tagged Bruce Coville in them, and he agreed to do an interview with us on the show. So we're working on that.
It's super exciting. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk to him because I realized we had read My Teacher's an Alien. We read My Teacher Fried My Brains. And I was thinking, there's these other books in his list that we've been looking at, and I really didn't look at his other books. And then as we're talking about this, I see he wrote Jeremy Thatcher Dragon Hatcher. And then I see he wrote Goblins in the Castle. And I have these clear memories of these books. And as I'm going through, I'm like, oh man, along with R.L. Stine, Bruce Coville ended up actually being an author I read a lot as a kid.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of other kids who grew up reading Bruce's work. So I wonder if it would be too weird to call him Bruce right off the bat. Maybe we should.
We'll start with Mr. Coville.
Yes, we will start.
I already called him Bruce in messages.
Just call me Bruce.
He can tell us to call him Bruce.
I already went there. So,
Did you go there right away?
I don't think that I started with either name, but in the message that I sent him today to kind of give him an update, I started it with Bruce. So just right off the bat, I was like, okay, yep.
I have a feeling based on his writing and how personable he's been thus far with you that he probably is cool with Bruce.
Yeah, he seems like he'd be pretty informal.
Sounds like we got our first question.
Yep. What do you prefer to be called? High Exalted One or
Alien,
World's Greatest Author?
Well, being Bruce Coville, I imagine that if he was going to make up a name, he would just go for the stars with it and come up with something like Brick Snap Conklin or something. I'd be like, what? Where'd you come up with that name? It's not a normal name.
Or it'd be like Gary Grayshaw.
Gary Grayshaw. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
One of those between that metric is where his names land, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
So yeah, I think this is what they call in the business a good get.
Yes.
So we're going to be bringing an interview with Bruce Coville, a beloved children's author, some point in the near future.
So if you happen to listen to this, sir, we're very excited. We're very excited to have you on.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure we do this right by you. So,
yep.
Yeah. this last chapter, we covered sequel books, books that are follow-ups to books we've already done in past episodes.
Yes, and we introduced the Bob's Your Uncle summary.
Yes, which has become one of my favorite parts about the whole thing is trying to come up with an immediate summary based on my reading.
Yeah, and I think it's going to do us pretty well going with that format. I notice in like our download numbers that we get a lot of like downloads for the first couple of books we did. Charlotte's Web, okay, good. Then the Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House, yeah. And then it drops off. It starts to drop off at episode 3, Maniac McGee, which, although it's a very good book, we went into detail.
Real detail.
Very, very, very deep detail. Very
3
deep dive.
episodes worth of detail.
It took us longer to tell the story or talk about that book than it did to actually read that
Read the book. Yes.
So then after that, like if it wasn't like a super popular book amongst kids, it's not a very good performer as far as downloads go. We're getting some good download numbers, don't get me wrong, but they could be better. And I think doing the format of summarizing the story first and then digging into where we want to dig in rather than, oh, let's wait until we get to this part of the story and then we can bring up something that we thought of.
It removed one of our hated phrases. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
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 Because now we can just jump to that right after the summary.
We can tell the summary and then go, at the end of the book, wasn't it crazy? I mean, that's what the summary does. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first summary came for Far Side of the Mountain, didn't it? That was the first Bob's Your Uncle, wasn't it?
I think so, but that's not the first book we covered in this chapter.
It's not. It was the first one we did a summary on, and it was because we had a couple guests this chapter as well.
Well, I believe the first one we did a summary, but it wasn't a Bob's Your Uncle summary. We summarized it very quickly and then got into it, but then that's when we coined the Bob's Your Uncle phrase, and we found out that I have 2 Uncle Bobs, and Andy is related to Bobby Boucher from The Waterboy.
Okay,
Because
so I've seen this note, and I'm very curious how you think I'm related to Bobby Boucher, lead character of The Waterboy.
You said that you had Uncle Bob, or Uncle Roberto.
Roboido, okay.
But when he was a kid, and when he was younger, he went by Bobby. Bobby Boucher is named after his father, Bobby, who, after he left his family, changed his name to Roberto and left and went away overseas to Spain, where he now goes by Roberto. Boom!
Oh my god.
You're related to Bobby Boucher.
So my Spanish uncle, who has lived in Spain all his life,
is actually an American redneck that lived in the swamp and moved to Spain and pretended.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, he pretended to be your mom's brother.
Yes, I must have missed the part where he never left Spain, but otherwise, it was a good theory in my head.
It's an interesting B story to my life.
Hey, we're all about the B stories on this podcast.
At least for now, until I find something else to get onto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first book we covered was Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, follow-up to The Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
And I found it weird that hardly anything in the story had to do with Charlie, even though he was part of the title. He was just kind of there.
He was just among the happenings.
It was much more about the grandparents.
Way more about the grandparents and Wonka and President Gilligrass or whatever it is. Gilligrass.
Yeah, does it say here on this? Because I did put in the notes here the transcribed page from Charlie in the White House.
It's quite a bit there.
For being a royal douche like Roald Dahl is, he had some pretty on point commentary about American politicians or leadership as far as the president goes.
Okay, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly.
So is this what you have here, Josh? Like the entire, like what remains of what was started of the third book?
That's the first page. That's the only page available on the Roald Dahl website.
Okay.
So that is what is available to be read virtually anyway. I don't know if there's more of it. in the actual museum.
So it's really no different than any of his other books. He's basically just laying out his beginning thing and giving some crazy names and
listing a lot of crazy names here.
You want to read this?
I don't really think we need to give him any more time.
I like that Wilbur G. Pocus was known as Hocus to his friends.
Hocus Pocus.
He was the director of public relations and bamboozlement.
Yeah, there's also a director of sewage and garbage disposal, the Honorable I.M. Ponky.
Chief of the Army, General Horsebrass.
So for all the listeners not able to read this transcription here that we're looking at, it's basically how the book begins, and it's a bunch of people standing on the White House lawn to welcome in Wonka and friends, and it's basically listing who is there with the president and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and and the cabinet and everything. And these are the names that we're reading off now.
Yeah, those are just a bunch of crazy names.
So I saw this Admiral Tarbuncle on here, and I was like, is that something that's supposed to be on the nose? You know, there's a Tarbuncle, something that is on a ship or something. And so I look up Tarbuncle, and the first result is Jimmy Tarbuncle, Skanky Hose Shoes. It is a electronic song, some kind of dance number. Tarbuncle is not a ship part.
You're thinking of Barnacle.
No, Carbuncle, and it's also not a ship part. But
Carbuncle.
The word Carbuncle is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, you're thinking of a carbuncle, but mistaking it for Barnacle.
Yeah. Carbuncle is a group of pus-filled bumps forming a connected area of infection under the skin. So... But yeah, that book was fun, but quick, but kind of a nothing burger, really. It just...
Not a heck of a lot to it. Yeah, I can understand why they didn't really make a movie out of it. There was no great demand for a sequel movie.
No, not at all.
Like a 12-year-old child made a movie, or a trailer anyway.
Right. What would have made a better sequel would be Charlie learning the ropes of managing the chocolate factory.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently managing the chocolate factory is all about flying up into space and whatever. I don't, it had nothing to do with the first book at all.
Yeah, apparently what Roald Dahl had in mind was to give Charlie a chocolate factory as the start of a grand adventure wherein he goes to space, saves a space hotel, and goes to meet the president in the third movie. It was never really about the chocolate factory at all.
Never.
Those poor slaves were there for no reason.
Now, with the second book, Runaway Ralph, I had a lot more fun with that, and it felt more like a sequel.
Very much so.
Yes,
yeah, that was a sequel. You picked up where Ralph S. Mouse leaves off. He's got his motorcycle. He's riding around the hotel. His uncle gets irritated and has him give rides to the mice. And as with the book in this, the movie, which is only like 46 minutes long, was really close. I mean, you could tell they used the book to make the movie, as opposed to going, that's a great book, let's write a screenplay. They were like, hey, let's use the book to write a screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
They did omit quite a bit, quite a few characters and things like that, and it was weird.
I wanted to mention that I thought that those mice were going to be the weirdest, most nightmare fuel thing I ever saw in my life. Until I saw the fucking cats in Runaway Ralph. Those cats were pure nightmare fuel.
Horrifying.
Yes, that's exactly how I described them, as nightmare fuel.
Yeah, they were terrible.
Do you know that picture of like a very poorly taxidermied fox?
Yeah,
with the bulgy eyes or whatever.
What it looked like.
Yeah, the cats looked like that.
And they moved.
It was awful.
Catso.
They talked.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. So they talked in the book, though.
Yeah, they did talk in the book too, because and I mean, again, that one followed it. The father cat was trying to show the child cat how to hunt a mouse by playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And the voices were all very processed and hard to understand. Like, you can tell they ramped up a bunch of. They ramped up the pitch on the voice actors for like the mice and the cat and everything, and it didn't sound very great.
Well, they're only supposed to be heard by kids.
I guess, yeah. So as with my adult ears, they just sounded.
We were hearing it through a filter
terrible.
of being an adult. Like, see, by filming the mice and cats talking, they were able to use special filters to actually capture the sound that we as adults can't hear. I have a feeling that what they did was they cut some children ears out and they put it over the microphone so that it wouldn't, the sound waves wouldn't know. They'd feel the magic of passing through children's ears. And that's
that
how
is the
we
process,
heard it.
yes.
Yeah. That's how they film these documentaries, man.
Okay. I can't.
So the things that I didn't like about the movie that they changed was like the hamster, instead of hating alfalfa pellets, loved them. That was weird. They got rid of the dog. I would have liked to see a dog, but then again, with the nightmare-filled cats, who knows what that dog would have looked like.
I'm willing to bet
dog in the movie.
And
that's right.
He talks to Garf like right away.
Right.
They don't spend any time. He's just like, nope,
But
he
again,
talks.
Yeah. It was really late in the book when he started talking to Garf.
It was, but when you're translating it to film, I mean, this would be, there's so much different to it, because when you're reading in a book, you have to build this world, and so your world is always going to look different. That's why people, if they've read the book, are often going to say that the book is better than the movie, and that's often the case. But in some cases, I've felt it wasn't true. I can't actually, this when they did It, the second It, where they had the 2 movie part, I'm not going to say the book was, or the movie was better than the book, but I liked that movie because that's one of my favorite books, and they took some liberties and they changed some things, but when you're translating it to film, there are some things happening in the background that you may not even notice just because it's part of it, that they mentioned in the book because it adds something. But in the film, it isn't necessary because you're captured by the moment that's happening on screen. So there's always going to be some
stuff
changes.
I keep trying to tell Janelle about, like Harry Potter.
Yeah. Or like in Runaway Ralph, I bet we could search and dig. Maybe Bing will have it, but I'll bet you they made a dog. And the guy that made the dog, as soon as he finished it, he jumped out of a 6-story building. And they burned the building
so
to the ground because the dog was so fucking terrifying.
And the director's like, yeah, no, we're not going to use this.
We're not
for a
using that
children's
dog.
thing.
Yeah.
That dog is cursed.
So, Andy, when you get to reading Order of the Phoenix and you finish it, we'll go back and rewatch that movie, and you will tell me whether or not you think it was a good adaptation, because it's not. Okay?
Good adaptation or good film? See, now,
good adaptation.
Yeah, I watch films to view a good film. Like, I can hold the film as its own thing, and the book can be its own thing, and you can make
My
a movie
brain does
with
not separate
references
those
to the
things.
books in the background. But yeah. And like I asked you before, do you prefer for J.K. Rowling to be
I don't want to hear it again.
the one who gets to decide what is true and canon, or can these things exist on their own as works of art on themselves?
I wasn't watching Spider-Man No Way Home going, that doesn't look like the Peter Parker from the comics.
Right. You see, in the comics,
no, I just
Peter Parker has radioactive semen.
Oh my gosh!
It kills Mary Jane.
It kills Mary Jane at one point.
Yeah. So I have a goal of
This is the darkest timeline.
I have a goal of introducing Janelle to some select films across genres, because she likes to say that movies are the lazy man's book, right? But I like books and movies, and I can say that I see them as completely different art forms and appreciate them in those ways. And some of the movies I intend to show you, you're going to be like, this was just bullshit popcorn fodder. And I'll be like, yes, but look how well it was done. So
a lot of work went into this bullshit.
You enjoyed it, right?
Okay, I did not enjoy Order of the Phoenix the first time that I saw it, and so I have hardened my heart against it.
But that's on you.
I know it's on me. And
you went in with
take
the
it.
bias of comparison to what you already had in your head as to what it should be.
Well, and a preconceived notion from a 5th grade teacher when she was a child and could not fully appreciate the thought process of deciding for herself.
You know what? It's a very good lesson to learn. Okay.
Now, on the far side of the mountain, the only note I see on our notes book here is cloaca.
Before we move on to far side of the mountain, I had another thing to touch on with Runaway Ralph, and is that as bad as the mouse voices sounded, there was one voice in particular, and it was the voice of Ralph's sister. Had just one line, but, I could understand her. She was a better voice than the rest of the other mice. And I found out by looking at IMDb that was June Foray, who was the voice of Granny from Looney Tunes and Rocky the Squirrel from Rocky and Bullwinkle. Just a powerhouse in voice acting, used for one fucking line in that movie.
Wow, there were a lot of stars before there were stars in this. There was Fred Savage. He was Garf. Conchata Farrell, she was the maid lady from 2.5 Men. She played
star power right there.
Star. Before they were stars. And she's not really a star,
I don't know if
but
she ever got the stars status.
I don't know.
I do know
think
the
she
next
was in
one.
Other things. But yeah, and then Sarah Gilbert,
well-known
she was
actors.
from the Tanners / Roxanne.
Roseanne.
She was also from Roseanne.
Yeah, Roseanne.
And then Summer Phoenix, she was in it as well. So
yes, of the Phoenix family.
And then good old Ray Walston coming back to reprise the role of Matt, the bellhop.
Hell yeah, I was glad to see him. I was like, yeah.
Who could not lift a fucking suitcase to save his life unless it was off screen to load the car. I'll put your bags in your car, sir.
My God, it's an empty suitcase. Get that man a glass of water.
All right, now let's move on to On the Far Side of the Mountain.
So that note that I have is based on the B story of On the Far Side of the Mountain.
Where Sam is having a relationship with the Falcon.
Yeah, that is the part of the Falcon that is where the egg
that's what...
/ that's what he would be doing.
Matty Ice, you may want to turn your ears off at this. We're going to get graphic. Don't want to ruin one of your favorite books here. But we had Matty Ice from the Matty Ice and Marky Mark podcast on to just help us discuss that book, and he reluctantly agreed with us that Sam was fucking that Falcon.
Yep.
Totally fucking
right in the cloaca.
Right in the cloaca. It's good stuff. Yeah, that was fun having Matt on. We having another guest on, and I thought it was funny how we took where he came on thinking that we were gonna be like, oh man, like this book and all this, and he was going there, and then next at the end of the book, that episode, he says that, he goes, I can't believe we've gone here with this, but yeah, he's definitely fucking that Falcon. So we turned someone.
Yeah,
we turned someone to the B story.
Made him into a believer.
Yep.
A believer.
It's either that or we're fucking lost. I did like Far Side of the Mountain better than the first one.
Well, there's more of a plot. Yeah,
there's a plot to it. There's a story. There's something happening. Whereas in the first one, it's like, oh, hey, I came out into the woods and a bear walked up and I said, hey, bear, and the bear built me a fucking, shower because I'm Sam Gribley.
I don't remember any bears.
There were no bears, but I'm saying that no doubt there's lost pages.
Yeah,
pages.
Yeah, there was a lack of immediate danger in the first book, and there was quite a bit of immediate danger in the second.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shit, there was a gun.
Maybe not quite a bit. There was a gun. There was the presence of a gun.
There was the presence of a gun in that one, man.
But it was the gun that the cop pulled on the poachers.
Arguably still a unknown situation.
Still a danger to innocent lives.
Yes. Depending on the person. And I mean, that seemed like a pretty good officer.
They were forest rangers.
They were forest rangers. That's right.
With the power to arrest people, but still.
Yeah, that's DNR here in Michigan. The Department of Natural Resources are basically state troopers that focus on natural resources. However, in a situation of immediate danger, they can act in full capacity as a police officer. But that's like last resort situation. And I mean, they can arrest people. They arrest people for poaching and all that too, so...
Mm-hmm. And then you also had goshawks attacking the sister.
Yep, goshawks going after the sister, which are scarier and worse than peregrine falcons.
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and we had one of our favorite characters, whatever Leo Longhorn or whatever his name is. I'm still stuck on that one. What was it, Longbridge or
Longbridge?
Longbridge. Okay,
Leon
yeah.
Longbridge.
Leon Longbridge. I got Leo Longhorn. We call his name's Leon Longbridge. But that lazy bum that isn't even the one who confiscated the bird, and then he's not even the one who got the bird, who saved the bird.
Right. He's just sitting back at the DNR office eating donuts.
Eating donuts. Completely different ranger got up and did his job for him.
Waiting for a forest fire.
Yep. Yeah, that was a fun one. It was fun to have Matt on. I had a good time, and the book overall I felt was better. Still wouldn't necessarily recommend it to an adult, but yeah, a kid would have fun with that book, I think.
Yep, definitely a more modern plot structure. Kind of followed a Hardy Boys kind of arc where they had to solve a mystery, played a game of advanced hide and seek.
Defend against karate.
Defending against karate, yeah.
There's karate in it.
Oh yeah, he pulled a knife on the one dude and he just got a karate chopped.
Yeah, he karate chopped him.
Speaking of karate, our book after that was Metal Gear.
Yeah, we kind of broke with the sequel theme.
We did a special Christmas episode, is what we
A
did.
special Christmas crossover with Matt and Mark's podcast. Hashtag 989 podcast proud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, realistically, we did an extra book. It was literally a special because, I mean, we had 6 books this time.
Mm-hmm. And Josh was in town, and we all got together in the same room.
Yep. We all got sick.
It was really fun. Josh and I got marked.
Yep, got tattoos.
Josh and I got the Chocolate Milk Friends logo tattoo, which was originally a Hardy Har Har crew tattoo, but
yeah.
Yep.
I like Chocolate Milk Friends better now.
I like that my tattoo is exactly the same on me as it is on my character.
In the game?
Yeah.
I wasn't given a mic.
Oh, that's right. Snubbed
You were there,
again.
but no mic.
Yep,
yes, and this was among the
I told
time
you
that
could have sit in my lap.
I was consistently trying to convince Andy that you should come back. And, he just didn't
And now
want
she's
it.
here.
And now she's here. Now you're here. See, settled.
Here she is.
Nothing
He's
in
like,
between
now-
that.
Bob's your uncle.
He's like, now she's here.
Bob's
now
your
it's
uncle.
done.
Now she's
Now
here.
it's over.
It's over
Bob's
She
with.
your
doesn't
uncle,
have to
she's here
come back
today.
anymore, right?
Harold doesn't need to bring it up.
Harold's done talking.
Stop getting started. But yeah, having Mark and Matty Ice on here from the Matty Ice and Marky Mark podcast was a great time. I had a lot of fun with it. Sitting in the room with everybody, Janelle actually took some videos and threw them up on TikTok, but we're all talking with our hands the whole time. And doesn't really translate well to audio, but we've not breached the live show yet, so we didn't want to try it then as a test run. So yeah, that was a blast. I had a good time.
Yeah.
And that book though,
That book. It was very 90s.
Oh,
man. Written
so
for-
Cold War-y.
For boys in the 90s.
It did go along with the book, with the game fairly well, and I liked how they explained stuff that's in the game to be in the book. Did we discuss the bad translations in the game though?
We did not.
So when we were playing the game, just Andy was playing it and I watched him play because again, I don't play Metal Gear games. We noticed some really bad translations, such as the guard that says, "I feel asleep."
I feel asleep.
Uh-oh, the truck have started to move. And then it goes,
Yeah, that game is very famously had a bad, what's the word I'm looking for?
translations.
Translation, yeah, but localization to North America translations didn't quite work out so great. They didn't have the best of budgets.
in the game, mechanics don't translate well to a book because from like early on in the book, Captain Solid Snake Justin Halley is carrying around way more stuff than anyone that's wanting to sneak around should be carrying. I've listened
Like a
to the
bomb
episode
suit.
recently. Yeah, the bomb suit
Like
just kills me.
like a blast suit.
I every time I think of it now, I just see him running around carrying this blast suit around with him. But like, where would he have it?
in his back pocket. You know, video game physics.
That's why he was trying to get rid of the cards. The cards were taking up too much room in his pocket for the Bond suit. Yeah, I mean that was wacky. But it was a fun book, and we had some good laughs with that one, so I enjoyed that.
It was fun.
Yep.
All those scorpions. Oh
yeah. The mutant scorpions.
Trained killer scorpions. Now, do you think the name Colonel Gaddafi was a kind of a send-off of Muammar Gaddafi?
Oh, maybe. Was he big at that time?
I mean, he was a terrorist leader still at the time.
Sure. I mean, I know he was, but I don't know. Was he in power at that time?
I believe so.
When
but I
was
don't
he
think
not
he
in
was
power?
like an immediate threat, but it was the Cold War, so it could have been. It's very possible.
It very well could have been.
More likely, it's related to Laffy Taffies.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Likely, just regular taffy.
He started out in 1977.
The only other time I heard that name Kataffy was on an episode of The Simpsons where there was like a candy related, I think it was like the Chocobots cartoon that replaced Bart and Lisa's news program, whatever. But they were talking about how Colonel Kataffy's up to his tricks again. So no, I wanted to explore the similarity between Gaddafi and Gaddafi.
Yeah, he was in power since 1977 till 2011 when he was assassinated. So, yeah.
Preceded by himself. As chairman of the RCC. So really, he was in charge of Libya from 1969, preceded by just the first, succeeded by himself.
Well, at least he picked the right man for the job, I guess. Eh?
Talk about nepotism. I've decided who my successor is going to be, and it's me.
I wouldn't put that past a leader here. A former leader of this country.
Right.
But yeah, no, that was fun. I loved how it was a button to end it all, like just push a button with 1 second left. It was so cliche. Everything about it was so cliche.
The whole saving the world at the last second cliche. Loved it.
Rabbit punches.
Beating up the guards one at a time. Like it was great. It was great.
That was fun to talk about. And the bad guy getting away in the chaos.
Yep.
You've not seen the last of me. Justin Halley.
Sneaking in under the cover of daylight.
The cover of day.
I landed. It's dark. I should take a nap.
It's good thing I'm wearing this mirror suit. It'll blind anyone that looks in my direction.
I'll just rabbit punch him. They won't see it.
Rabbit punch.
I need to get my Puma stink on.
Yeah, so go listen to the Metal Gear episode.
It's a fun one. It's very fun.
Like, if I had a recommendation of any one episode to listen to from this chapter, it'd be the Metal Gear episode. It's just a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think people will have fun with that one. There's a lot of people talking though, but it is good.
And a lot about video games too, and Metal Gear games in particular. So,
and it also started a plan to do the rest of the Worlds of Power books with Matty Ice and Marky Mark. So,
yep. So stay tuned for the next one of those.
Yeah, I'm excited because we're gonna do Castlevania, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my favorite series.
If that book ever comes down in price.
Oh, is Castlevania still super expensive?
It's still pretty expensive, yeah. I might just read an audiobook and send it out to you guys.
Right.
These things are like gold.
They're like gold.
Paper gold. But because I really like Castlevania, that's one of my favorite series. I actually bought the collection when it was on sale, so I have all the early ones now as well.
Nice.
But if you want to get ready for our future interview, you could listen to the episode about My Teacher Fried My Brains, which is the next book that we did.
Yes. My Teacher Fried My Brains, book number 2 in the My Teacher is an Alien series by Bruce Coville.
Yeah.
This was definitely a fun one. I liked it.
I did. I really liked seeing it from like the bully perspective, because that's not something that you see in a lot of books.
Yeah, for sure. Humanizing the bully role from the last book. Showing
that the reason why he lashes out is because he himself is bullied by someone in his home and is almost encouraged by his parents. So when you come from that environment, you don't know what to do other than lash out. Also, there's a cute little animal named Poot.
Yep.
Poot.
A little like blob thing that lives inside of a Tupperware container.
Yeah, a slug-like thing. We didn't talk a heck of a lot about Poot.
We didn't. Like, he doesn't, I mean, he just pops up, says poot, and that's about it. So he really didn't have a lot.
Like a little Pokemon. Just says his own name.
Mm-hmm. So why do we think this is the same universe as Charlie?
Yeah, whose note is that? That it's the same universe as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That is not my note.
Man, who put that there? Somebody has the note, same universe as Charlie, question mark, and I don't even remember if I was the one that put it there.
It seems like you would be the one that would put it there, Andy.
Goddamn Bane frogs.
So,
Yep.
damn brain frogs.
Robert. But I think that Susan is definitely Catwoman. Always
Okay, yeah,
breaking
that's
into
another note
stuff,
here.
constantly breaking into things, and doing it well.
Yeah, she's pretty good at breaking into places, isn't she?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think she's Catwoman.
Yeah. She's either really good at it or her character was given plot armor.
Oh, that could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm. But in any case, I think that Susan is actually, it's all about Duncan, and Duncan, he's a bad guy because he's a bully, but Susan's breaking and entering places. Like, I mean, sure, she discovered an alien that was trying to steal children, whatever. She, just because you're not a U.S. citizen doesn't mean you aren't protected by the Constitution, okay? So she was breaking the rules and by breaking into his house, and none of that evidence would be admissible. It's fruit of the poisonous tree. So Braxton would have got off scot-free, really.
I plead the fifth.
I'm racking my brain. I still can't figure out how this might be the same universe as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Me either. I don't know who wrote that note, so I'm trying to figure it out.
It looks like it came from Andy. It came from Andy.
Andy, your brain frogs.
You look at the edit history, and Andy put it in there on January 9th at 1:51 p.m.
Damn.
Was that during the COVID? Because that would explain it.
I think he's feeling better by then. I think he went to work the next day.
That doesn't mean he was better.
No,
that
he
just
still
means
had
that
brain
they made
frogs.
you yeah,
I mean, he still has brain frogs right now. So
he's still over there.
Wait a minute. Were we having a discussion about how Poot might be a Vermicious Knid?
Oh, maybe.
Possibly.
That was probably it.
I don't
about
think
how
he's
he can shapeshift.
I don't think he is. He goes poot. He doesn't say scram.
They spelled scram. We never heard him speak.
Yeah, they physically spelled scram with their shape-shifting ability.
And they ate, but not with their mouths.
Which is weird. Did they eat with their buttholes?
Maybe
just
they
by
have
absorption, I guess.
Unknown orifice.
Oh, yeah, I guess they could eat by absorption. We don't know how aliens would act or look or eat. It would all depend on the circumstances on their planet. We all assume they'd be, an intelligent species, be bipedal like us or something,
right.
But honestly,
or
carbon-based at all, yeah. But realistically, they could be a blob, and it could be smarter than we think.
They could be gaseous.
They could.
Yeah.
They could be pure light.
Completely energy-based, correct. We don't know.
And we never will.
I bet you they'd have sweet music, though.
We might know. Ever since James Webb went up, I guess the NASA's been consulting with theologians on how humans would react to the discovery of alien life.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta get a link to that story. And we'll post that also.
So they turned Duncan into a radio, basically.
Mm-hmm.
How far do radio waves travel?
Well, radio waves travel at the speed of light, and they travel for long distances. So like a light wave, the further out they get, the longer the wave stretches. How if we're looking at a star that's far enough away, we see it as red because the wave has shifted. And so, I mean, they travel at the speed of light. That's why you can get radio with enough power to travel all over. I mean, if you have enough connections and...
So would radio waves that we send out from Earth, could they reach other galaxies technically?
Yes.
Or would they break down? At the speed of
light. Oh.
They would become, as far as I remember, they will become less usable the further out they get, okay? But it's a long, long ways before they become unusable. It's The issue would be, like, have you ever seen anything where in a movie they've got people on Mars and people on Earth, and anytime they send a message, it's like 30 minutes between?
Oh, yeah. Look at The Martian.
Yeah, that's because of the distance that the radio waves have to travel to get there. So, which is why they should probably use lasers.
Frickin' laser beams, man.
Yeah, lasers. Lasers are great.
Lasers.
They're way faster.
Way faster. Well, no, actually, they wouldn't be faster, would they? And think about it.
They go the same speed.
They go the same speed.
Light speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Interesting.
This is a great show.
Yeah, we're just and we're all just talking out our asses because we don't actually know these things. But you never know.
Ignorance.
It's bliss sometimes.
No. I'm not speaking out of my ass, by the way. I usually don't say things unless I have some understanding of it, okay? And
it's educated guesswork.
Radio waves are a type of electromagnetic radiation with wavelengths in the electromagnetic spectrum longer than infrared radiation. Like all electromagnetic waves, radio waves in a vacuum travel at the speed of light and in the Earth's atmosphere at a close but slightly lower speed.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew it was right.
Nice.
Talking out my ass.
I don't even know what you said, so it must
I
be
just sent
correct.
2 charts into the Discord that kind of show how they travel too.
Cool.
Neat.
Neato.
Very nice.
It's great audio listening to us look at these gifts.
If you would like to see what
Join the
interesting
Discord.
things we're sharing on the Discord, actually, on our Facebook
Discord.
There's some conversation.
Listen, it's only been us so far, and we are going to keep our regular conversation outside of Reliterated. I am just glad we've been using it at all right now, so now we can decide to go forward. It has to be somewhat related, or at least discussions around. But on our Facebook page, if you like our Facebook page, we have a invite to our Discord. We can take book suggestions. We have grown-ass book talk in there. So if you want to talk about the books, or you want to tell us something we got wrong, or if you want to add a B story that we might not have seen, please do. We would love to have fun with it. Maybe we can even throw in, we get enough stuff like that, we might be able to throw in a segment where we, listener B stories or whatever,
Right.
So
if you want to have a debate with Harold, there's a Getting Harold Started.
There's a Getting Harold Started channel. You have to understand that if you enter the Getting Harold Started channel, there is no allowed
turning back.
You are not allowed to go, this isn't fair, I don't know, and be mad. No mad. We're sparring. We are sparring and debating. We are not fighting.
I feel like the only people who go into the Getting Harold Started channel are me and Harold.
Yes.
I go in there to spectate.
Yep. It's a good place to watch.
With my popcorn.
You can get Harold Started on anything, too. It doesn't have to be book related.
Anything.
Join the Discord. It's lots of fun. The link can be found on our Facebook and in the show description.
I'm mainly on the Reddited page because I like to scroll and share content.
That's where we dump our memes.
So.
I have my own channel on there, Twice the Hype with Jay, which Harold aptly named.
Yes, there is also a not exclusively for kids book based movies party chat if you want to join up and watch a movie.
Yeah, we like to chat while watching movies.
Yep.
So yeah, all that being said, we have one last book in the chapter that we went through.
Return of the Unicorn. It was my turn to shit the bed on this one. I was not happy with my performance because we all had some upper respiratory thing going on, and every time I tried to change my voice, I also had someone else in the room, which was abnormal for me. So I had that going against me, but it was just difficult for me to even get my voice to do anything different because I could feel a cough or I could feel, excuses. It was still a fun book. We actually did more endings in this book than we have in any of them so far. I've kind of thrown out that what ending we get is the only one.
Well, that's because all of them sucked.
Yeah, all the endings sucked.
Yeah.
They all ended up in a capitalist dystopian nightmare.
Like the one,
we basically just go until we fill an hour.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, after I re-listened to it, I was like, well, the adventure one wasn't that bad, but it also wasn't that good. It was just the best of all of them. And that's just because you're like, you got to go on an adventure. And like, that's cool. But the other one's like, you get a job. Or the other one's like, you're a slave now. It's like, oh, wait, that sucks.
And I mean, the best part about this book is it was written in 2021, which breaks with our 90s book theme. But, you know, it was a sequel to a Choose Your Own Adventure. It was still in the same thread. I mean, I felt like that book could have been written in the 90s. We didn't even realize it was written until until after we did it. We didn't realize it was a 2021 book.
And then Choose Your Own Adventure is a series from the 90s, which we grew up reading. So even though it wasn't that particular book that we read as kids, it's still in the same vein.
Yeah.
We'll give it a pass.
We'll give a pass on that one, but we will be more diligent in the future. We actually were having some trouble tonight when we were deciding our next lineup, and we found a book that we liked and then realized that Magic Treehouse was rebranded at some point, and they actually have released more books in 2017 and whatnot, so we got to be careful when we're looking at these books to make sure we're hitting our mark until we change the format because we've run out of 90s literature.
Right. At least we run out of 90s books that people are interested in hearing about.
Right.
But there's a heck of a lot of books out there, boys.
There are a lot of books. There are a lot of books.
You know, we read a lot of books from earlier that were still just popular in the 90s, like Boxcar Children and Hardy Boys and things like that. So those are like timeless classics. So they weren't necessarily written in the 90s, but we read them in the 90s.
Yeah. So it's basically anything pre-1999 is what we're looking for because, I mean, My Side of the Mountain was written in 1959 or something, right? And Charlotte's Web was written in 1954. But we definitely read those books and watched those movies, or not the movie Far Side of the Mountain.
They were still part of our childhood,
Yeah, it's still part of our childhood. So all we don't want to do is hit the point where we graduated from high school, because at that point we were reading adult books for sure.
So you don't want to hit the part where I entered elementary school.
Yes, that either.
That's
which
what
would
you're
be
trying
2000 and what? Actually, it'd be late 90s, right?
Yeah, if we want to be serious about it,
Yeah.
I was born in 93, so...
Oh, so we can read some books.
Yeah.
Depending on how advanced of a reader you were by 7.
I mean, I was a pretty good reader. I know that when my mom, because I was homeschooled for about 2 years, and so for 3rd grade, I think I was reading at like a 5th or 6th grade level. So
nice.
I can handle stuff.
I was reading Stephen King books in like 3rd and 4th grade, so I say it was very difficult for me to go back. But I was not to bring it back to Coville, but I realized I had a lot of those books too. That was, yeah.
I mean, I read like all of the Magic Treehouse series that was available to me when I was 7 in like one afternoon. So I can do those.
Mine was usually finishing an R.L. Stine and not having any more kids' books to read, and then going downstairs and looking at my mom's bookshelf and going, what's this one about? Desperation.
Yeah.
I tried that with Jurassic Park, but because I liked the movie, but it was a lot to get into.
Yeah.
It was too intimidating for me, so.
Yeah, I've read Jurassic Park too. Yeah, that's a good one.
At that age, I was not allowed to read, watch, listen to a lot of things. Because we were very God-fearing, good Christians. So while I probably could have handled Stephen King, I didn't know who Stephen King was.
Right.
So.
Oh, I'm sure. And I get that. I mean, it was kind of abnormal for me because I would, like I say, I'd go downstairs, just grab a book, go up in my room and start reading it. And it wasn't like my mom was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, whatever, he's grabbing a book."
I don't think we had Stephen King in the house at that time.
Dean Koontz, and then some other like
Dean Koontz.
We had a lot of like witch history type stuff and history of dragons and whatnot. Yeah. My mom was way into all that kind of stuff, spirit stuff, and so So yeah, I was reading a lot of that when I was a kid. But, you know, it made for the dark person I am today looking at these children's books. You know what I mean?
You're not that dark.
Darker than you think.
You can get pretty dark, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's yelling at ladies in the Walmart parking lot.
Hey, listen.
Who deserve it?
She
The
deserved
ladies
it. She deserved it.
it.
She may not have deserved me telling her to slide off the road at high speed, but I was in a moment.
Because you have a broken foot.
And I was having to crutch myself across the parking lot that was full of slush to a car that was coming to pick me up, and she blocked everyone off. I don't want to get into it again.
Don't get him started.
Don't get me started on this one. The selfishness of people in Walmart parking lots.
Just go to the Discord. He'll explain it there.
I'll explain it all there.
I probably scared Andy a little bit earlier today because I got really excited talking about Edmund Kemper. So
Nice.
I was like, so do you know who this is? Yeah, you want to hear what he did? Like,
there is a large subset of people fascinated with serial killers, and I am not one of them.
Oh, I'm definitely one of them. I always laugh because I'll be pulling into work in the morning, and the security guard will be sitting there, and he's looking over at my car. It's like, then he drugged the body into the ditch and chopped off both legs. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Drive in.
It's okay. I'm interested enough in serial killers for the both of us, Andy.
Yo. I just don't understand what makes them do what they do, and I want
So I can avoid those people.
so I can avoid them. Yes, so I can spot them.
And not be that guy.
Yeah.
How close was I to becoming a serial killer?
Whereas I listened to two fat guys talk about their favorite fast food restaurants. So.
Right? And video games and the kind of stolen shit that tries to get pawned off at their stores.
Those guys too. But there's another one I started listening to. So.
I like to listen to like trivia podcasts too.
Yeah, and we know you like trivia podcasts, Andy.
I like trivia.
This is a podcast
like
about books.
Yep.
He's like, well, shit. I bet he's sitting there with trivia cards right now, hoping we were going to say, go ahead, do the asshole.
Ask us a question.
So, of the 5 sequel books that we covered this chapter, which one would you say is your favorite? Let's discount Metal Gear. And of these sequel books, what did you enjoy reading the most?
If I'm pandering, I'm going to say My Teacher Fried My Brains. But honestly, Runaway Ralph took me back to the time with the movie and everything about it, right? I remember loving the Mouse on the Motorcycle when I was a kid. Mouse and the Motorcycle when I was a kid. And I don't know if I ever watched Runaway Ralph or if I read Runaway Ralph, but the direct sequel nature of it, the fact that you felt like it was just the next story in Ralph's chapter was really great. And again, and I'm not pandering when I say My Teacher Fried My Brains did a very similar job of keeping things the way they were. You know, Duncan Dougal got fleshed out. Susan Simmons was still kind of, I would almost say, bratty in the way that she wanted to do things. And that might be because I listened to the audiobook and I feel that the voice actor played her in kind of a bratty voice.
B.D. Wong.
Yeah, that wasn't B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong
her
played
voice.
Susan?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Susan.
No.
I
thought you were talking about...
that was Runaway Ralph you're thinking.
Yeah, I thought you were
talking about
that.
In My Teacher Fried My Brains, I think I felt Susan was bratty just because I think the voice actor was trying to take a bratty tone, or I took it that way. But I thought it was a really good sequel in how it felt fleshed out the rest of the story. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I also want to see where Ralph S. Mouse, what that's about, because it seems like Beverly Cleary, right? Seems like she follows the sequel well, which isn't always the case. I mean, there are a lot of sequels out there, books and otherwise, that the sequel makes no sense. Highlander, The
Great Glass Elevator.
Yeah, Great Glass Elevator, Highlander, The Quickening, if we're talking about movies.
Oh man, that movie's so bad.
Oh, it's so terrible.
But it's a toss up because I did really like My Teacher Fried My Brains but Runaway Ralph just brought back so many good memories and nostalgia for me that it was wonderful because, like I said in the episode, it brought me back to camp and had me bring back the memories that I had forgotten about almost. and it was just a nice feeling of nostalgia. So when it came down to it, yeah, I do like My Teacher Fried My Brains. It was a very fun story. I liked Poot a lot, but yeah, Runaway Ralph is just so good to me. So
Janelle, did you happen to read any of the books?
I listened to the part you read to me.
This is coming from the one who said that movies are for lazy people.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I started my master's program, so if I'm not going to be on an episode, why would I read the books?
Sounds like an excuse to me.
You know what?
Ooh, I'm a master.
You can do my homework then.
I don't care what level of Jedi you are, okay?
So at least tell us, Hype Girl, which of our episodes did you think we did the best on?
Oh, gosh. You know, I really enjoy when you tear down authors. So for what you did the best on, that would have to be Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. But I think probably my favorite book from these, if I was going to choose one to sit down and read myself, would probably be My Teacher Fried My Brains. And that's not just because of the interview we have coming up, but that's because of Poot.
All because of Poot?
Yes, that is because of Poot. I want to know about Poot.
It is a great story, but though I do have something to reconcile with Mr. Colville when he comes on, having to do with one Mr. Duncan Dougal's father. But
yeah.
Otherwise, no, the series itself thus far, and I'm excited to continue on, is
Me too.
really well done, and I'm interested.
Yeah, they set up some pretty big stakes with this sequel because there's aliens planning to do something to Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's based on a pretty big question that we all have to ask ourselves: is like, is humanity doing okay? Are we? Can we be trusted with alien life?
No.
Or
No.
if we found other sentient beings in the universe, what would we do when we found them?
Kill them.
I wouldn't have considered this before. I wasn't thinking about it, but as I'm listening to Josh's cynical answer to that, it comes to my mind that he didn't write this for 40-year-old people who have already been beaten to shit, right? He wrote it for kids. And when you were a kid,
Right.
when you read that book, when you got to that point, I believe that you would have felt either leave us alone or like, leave us alone, let us grow, we'll do better. And I think that's kind of the idea. Like,
Right?
hey kids, look at your world that you are going to inherit. You know, these aliens don't think you're worth keeping around. Or at least they don't think that the people who have led it so far are worth keeping around. Can you do something different? I think that's what he's kind of portraying there to children.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because the aliens question whether they can give us technology, and if we're going to use it for good, or if we're just going to use advanced technology to deplete our resources faster.
Mm-hmm. And my answer as a kid would have been, well, of course I would want to use it for good. And today it would be the same, but I read Bruce Colville's books. So, you know, I learned the lesson. But there are a lot of people today that would say they would do it for good, and as soon as they got the grip on a little bit of power, they would immediately turn evil. I mean,
You know what? Making a profit is good.
Yeah.
Making money is good.
Yeah. Well, if I make a bunch
For
of money,
me.
I can then hire people for minimum wage.
Yeah.
And then
I'll just
people
make
have
all
jobs.
the money and buy a happy ending for
Yeah.
the planet.
There we go. We can blow up the aliens.
Yep. And historically, that's what we've proven that we are capable of so far.
So far, but maybe.
So yeah, for that reason, I would say that my most enjoyable book would be My Teacher Fried My Brains, just because of the philosophical questions that it raises, that they get seeded into young children reading them, and then looking back on them, it's kind of a timeless thing. It withstood the test of time into the 2020s.
Yeah, that question is as relevant today as it was in 1990.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, a story of a mouse running from a cat and a dog is also pretty evergreen.
It is.
Can't go wrong with a nice little innocent romp at a camp.
Well, and like I say, I mean, it's more just so My Teacher Fried My Brains puts real stakes out there, right? But just that magic of imagination that it takes to drive the motorcycle, or a child talking with a mouse, that kind of is what really sings to my heart, I guess, from that book, is this connection with a magical world that we lose at some point, you know? And I still see it right now. I see it in my boys. My oldest turned 8 today. It's actually his birthday.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Very proud of that young man. And he turned 8, but the magic is still there. He still wants to believe things, and he still, Dad can still pull little tricks and make things look like they appeared out of nowhere, and it amazes them, and not like me, where someone pulls it out and I'm like, well, where were they hiding it? How did they do it? What is this? No, it's just magic to them. And
yep,
I think that's what's captured for me in Mouse and the Motorcycle.
Yeah, and I was going to tack on to that, perhaps the relating to the young boy who doesn't quite fit in and finds a friend.
Right. Yep. That also sits there, because I did spend a lot of time as a kid. I mean, like, you were my friend in 3rd and 4th grade, but then from there on out, I was at different schools almost every year, and constantly, it just became difficult to even try and make friends, because why, So yeah, there was a lot to Mouse on the Motorcycle that really, really sang to me, and I enjoyed it. But again, the profound questions raised by My Teacher Fried My Brains, that tickles my fancy as an adult and as a person who likes to consider himself at least an amateur intellectual,
And it works as a great sequel.
It does.
Yeah, and it sets up for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I would say out of all the books, Runaway Ralph and My Teacher Fried My Brains did the best job of being a sequel. On the Far Side of the Mountain was good in the fact that it, like, we knew it was Sam Gribley and his sister was still living there, but I mean, it took a totally different turn from the first book. I expected a journal style book from Far Side of the Mountain.
Yeah, big change in tone. Yep, between the first and second books.
And then he became a soldier.
Yep, he changed his name to Justin Halley, and he became Solid Snake, Captain Justin Halley.
Captain Justin Halley, Solid Snake of the Snake Men.
That's the B story from Metal Gear, if you haven't heard the episode.
So yeah, absolutely go listen to all those episodes.
Yes,
right now,
they're all fun.
If you haven't,
read the books too. I mean, like,
and read the books.
At least Runaway Ralph and My Teacher Fried My Brains. The other ones, yeah, go ahead, but those ones were really good. Great Glass Elevator. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to it if you want to hear them tear into Roald Dahl.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, if you enjoy us trash and Roald Dahl, then please.
We'll have to do a small feature episode on just Roald Dahl and how much of a garbage person he was.
Right, we'll have to.
A lot there.
Yeah, because we really have just complained about him. Yeah, and we've just said that, but I do think that we owe a rundown that is a well researched, audio essay on the terribleness that is Roald Dahl.
I would love to make a YouTube documentary just about how much of a shit person he is. With, like, fancy music in the background. And Andy's
but he wrote wonderful children's books.
Andy's epic speaking voice. It's like, and at that point, he left his wife for this random girl that he met.
Roald Dahl seduced woman after woman after woman in name of God and country.
He would take his doll till valve and drain the fluid from their faces.
Now it's turning into a serial killer podcast.
Yes.
Well.
I mean, so we did movie and TV adaptations.
Yeah.
Favorite sequels of all time?
Favorite sequel of all time? Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yeah, I was going to say exact same thing.
Great sequel.
Yeah.
I was like,
one of the greatest sequels
best
of all time. Yeah, it's hard to top it. It's better than the first movie. Janelle's like, I've never seen it.
No, I've seen Terminator.
Okay, good.
Lord.
Every time I watch it, I catch another fun thing. Like I need a vacation. I was like, oh, yeah, that's class. He's learning.
Yeah, no, it's classic. How about you?
Yeah.
What about you guys? I mean, I'm sure Josh is right there with me on Terminator 2.
That's the thing. I was like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I was going to say the exact same thing, because I still watch that movie at least once a year.
Yeah, I watch it probably once a year. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Fucking great movie.
It'd probably be too easy to say Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It's a very popular, great sequel.
Right. Which is something I learned this chapter. I did not realize it was popularly thought of as great. One person told me a long time ago that everybody hates Empire because it's just a bridge movie, and I was like, oh. and that
person was wrong. So,
right, yeah, no.
I want to find
100%.
that person and punch them in the face and be like, "Fuck's wrong with you?" Telling Harold that.
You know,
it's gonna taint him for his entire life.
It's funny because this person was a friend's dad, and I'm pretty sure that we had exactly 2 conversations in the entire time that I was friends with this kid, and one of them was how Empire Strikes Back was the worst Star Wars movie because it was just a bridge movie. And he was telling me that. It's like one of 2 conversations I remember having with this guy. The other one was who drank my Captain Morgan's.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. It was us. We drank the Captain Morgan's.
There any game sequels that stand out?
Man, I got one, and I think it's gonna get someone a little fiery based on some conversations I've had recently. But
Okay.
Halo 2 is one of my favorite game sequels because Halo 2 introduced
2?
Yeah, Halo 2. It introduced online multiplayer in it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Halo 1 we would play multiplayer, but we had to play with just
All split screen.
Yeah, it was split screen, or you had to LAN party. And Halo 2 actually gave you that ability to go fight online. But you also had dual wielding, which never showed up again. Or maybe it did in 3, but dual wielding came out in 2. I don't remember the story particularly, but I know that I definitely liked Halo 2 enough that I was excited for Halo 3. And then Halo 4. Halo 5 actually made me not want to play Halo Infinite. And I'm glad I did decide to play it, because it is a great game. But yeah,
Halo Infinite's pretty fun. Yeah.
Halo 2 would be my sequel game that I would think of. Other than, it's not really a sequel. Metal Gear Solid 2 is more of later in a series of games. So.
Yeah, are we, just to clarify, are we talking about like the second in a series or like any sequel whatsoever?
That's what sequel means.
Yeah, sequel is the second.
But see, like Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel, but technically it's a sequel, and I mean,
Also
that is
a
one of my
sequel.
hands down favorite games, just period.
Right.
So,
it's a sequel that takes place before the events of 1.
But if we're just talking about anyone in the series, I mean, Burnout 3 for me was just life changing. So, because I found out about crash mode, and like I was like, there's a race car game where you just crash. That's awesome. Think of how many hours we spent, Harold, just unlocking all of them.
Yeah, we played that a lot.
Oh, it was so fun.
Cool.
So I guess it's just, whatever video games you like, because most of them are now sequels to something else.
Of something, yep.
Yeah, it's probably easier for video games to have good sequels because they are improved upon, like technologically, and you get added game modes and whatever. Probably easier to do that with video games than movies because, like, first installments of movies set a certain expectation, and then it just gets messy and trying to continue that. Yeah.
And yet be different enough that the audience is satisfied.
Capture the newness of the first one.
I mean, a perfect example of that is look at the Matrix. The first Matrix was amazing. The second
one blew it out of the water.
Doubtful.
The second Matrix is my favorite one, but it's only because it has so much popcorn action in it.
Oh yeah.
A lot of great action scenes, but the story wise,
I was thinking more story.
No, see, when I watch Matrix 2 or Reloaded, all I think about is him fighting 50 Agent Smiths, him fighting those people, and then that 10 or 12
highway
car chase scene, and that movie was insane with action, and that was what I loved about that one.
Yeah, I want to talk offline. If you guys have seen the newest one, I want to discuss.
I haven't yet.
I have, and I'm willing to talk about it at another time, but I am starving right now. Starving.
Well, then let's wrap this up.
Let's bring it home, guys.
Yeah, we will close this chapter
and ladies
of Reliterated. Yeah, and
I want to say
that lady friend.
I don't gender guys, by the way, that word. So
yeah, it's kind of lost its gender.
Yeah.
I use guys with girls all the time.
Yep.
It's okay.
Well, that's the way
I
to
can
end
be
it
a
right
guy.
there. We don't gender
yeah,
guys on
permission.
Reliterated. We don't gender guys. All right.
We got permission from this guy.
Yep. This guy over here says cool.
That's more gendered than just general hey guys.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
This fucking guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's chapter 5 of Reliterated. Next chapter is going to start next week, probably. I don't know. We have to figure out some things with our interview, how we want to release that and everything. But coming up on Reliterated, chapter 6 is going to be our wintry, snowy chapter.
Yes.
We're going to start it off with Call of the Wild by Jack London.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the mood for that since I went on a nice 5-mile hike today in 65-degree weather. So let's get this snow chapter underway.
It'll feel a little closer to home for me and Andy.
Right. Although I've never been dog sledding, and that's what this book's about, right? Dog sledding in the Klondike Gold Rush
Yes.
of the late 19th century.
And then we're hitting another R.L. Stein Goosebumps.
Beware the snowman.
Back to Goosebumps.
Goosebumps, a favorite. Hit up little Lion, the Witch in the Wardrobe, which I'm interested in because I know it's very heavily Christian themed, or at least backgrounded.
Really? You say that?
Really?
As long as it is Jesus, huh? That's fun.
Jesus.
We'll have to read it with, like, the witch maybe being the Jesus figure and see how that...
Yeah, see how it throws out.
Maybe the witch is Jesus and is making it winter.
They're all Jesus.
I don't know. Everybody's Jesus.
Everybody's Jesus.
Everybody's Jesus. Lucy is Jesus.
And then
Turkish delight.
Now I'm confused. Our fourth book is
Magic Treehouse.
Magic Treehouse.
Revolutionary War on Wednesday.
Okay, Revolutionary War on
Story
Wednesday.
Story of Washington at Valley Forge when it was all cold and snowy and bleak. And we'll get started on America. It'll be great.
Yep, absolutely.
Founding fathers and their slaves.
I was going to say, yes, and their slaves.
And you did not pick a Star Wars book this time for Choose Your Own
Nope.
Adventure,
Did
correct?
not.
Okay.
No, I'm not going with Empire Strikes Back for Choose Your Own Adventure. I will be going with The Abominable Snowman, which is actually from the Choose Your Own Adventure series.
Nice.
Isn't that number 1?
Number 1. Yep.
Excellent.
The very
Look at
first
that.
one.
The very
We're gonna
first
be
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Sweet.
Hunting Yetis.
And then
You're
we'll be back
welcome.
to do this again.
Yeah.
Ramble on for an hour and a half about things we've already talked about, which is why it's
About how
called,
great we did.
which is why this episode is called Reiterated.
Yep. It's our victory lap
Yep.
where we get to not read in advance for it.
Yeah, we get to not read a book for a minute. We do watch movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's always fun. So until we see you next time, thanks for listening, and give a shit. Read some lit.
Have a great whatever time of the day it is for you.
Thanks, everybody.
Get hit, read a bit.
This has been Reliterated, a production of the Chocolate Milk Friends and part of the 989 Podcast Network. If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us support by subscribing, recommending us to your book reading, podcast listening, 90s nostalgic friends, and most importantly, rating and reviewing us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible Podcasts, and Spotify. Did I mention we really want some Spotify ratings right now? Your ratings and reviews go a long way towards getting us in the ears of new listeners. You're also invited to join the growing Reliterated community on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And if you really want to get nuts, we have a Discord too. So bing us and join us in this nonsense. If you have a book suggestion for a future episode or have questions for us, send us an email at reliterated@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I
From
think to
England.
myself, what a wonderful world.
Okay.
Closer. Getting real close.
God damn it.
God damn it.
What?
What?
Oh, yeah, it's getting a little warm in here.
Getting a little warm in here.
You're just gonna sing everything tonight?
Not everything.
He's warming up.
I'm getting ready.
Warming up. Fuck you, Janelle. I'm warming up too.
No. Fuck all y'all.
Tiger face. Lemon face. Tiger face. Let's record this shit.
All right.